This is the Freedom departing from 22nd Street Landing in beautiful San Pedro, California on Thursday evening. Hopefully they're catching fish right now as you take a look at the deck of the Mission Belle out of Point Loma sport fishing with a nice catch of offshore tuna. Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. Whoa, what am I doing here? I guess it's so early. The sun really is just starting to peak up. It's a glorious Friday morning here in SoCal as we kind of edge closer to Halloween right now. Not much wind, just a little bit, and the offshore situation remains very, very good. There's some hit and miss fishing. We'll get into all of that, but there are some really great scores going on with 69-degree water in many locations. That warm water, yellowfin, tuna, and Dorado are going to hang out. And of course, bluefin, they can adjust their blood and their body temperature to just about any environment. Really great stuff going on. We've got some important dates, some charters coming up, and we've got so much more. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Oh, is that good, and is it good to be with you all this early morning? Man, I got to tell you, the fishing right now has been off the hook, and we just got back from our Independence trip, and that was a magnificent trip on so many levels. The crew, the food, the fishing was off the hook. If I had to put something at the top, however, it would be all the great people that were on that trip, and I'm talking to each and every one of you. Even though I'm not going to mention you by name because there's too many of you, you know who I'm talking about. Really enjoyed spending time with you and can't thank you enough for being there. All right, some really important dates. Number one, November the 11th will be the memorial for our dear friend Captain Eddie Leland. That will be at All Souls Cemetery in Long Beach from 4 until 8 p.m. 4 p.m. until 8 p.m. November the 11th. I will see you all there. November the 3rd, we're on board the Horizon out of H&M Landing in San Diego. They've been tied up with some really big bluefin out on Tanner Cortez Bank. Of course, there's fishing inside of that, which we're going to talk to you about. There's all kinds of great fishing, but November the 3rd, $495. It's our last trip of the year. You can be part of it. I'll film you catching your trophy catch, perhaps. It should be a lot of fun. And again, if you want to book that trip, you have to go to horizoncharters.com. horizoncharters.com, and you are in there. Don't forget December the 2nd, our Christmas party in Redondo Beach, California. Make sure you text me right away. Our list is growing. We've got a lot of guests coming, and we want you to be there also. Great meal, lots of fun, raffles, all kinds of great stuff. December the 2nd, just send me a text. You can see the number right there. Say, Phil, I got so many people. We'll be there. Let us know what we need to do. And Patreon members are free. Everybody else, $15. And you get a great meal with that. A meal that's worth way more than $15. I will tell you that. El Patron going Saturday night out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro. Only 10 anglers for an offshore fishing trip. They discounted it to, I think, $380. You can get on the El Patron, you ought to do it. 10 guys, that's it. 310-832-8304. All right, let's get into it with you all. We got a lot to cover. I can actually read my notes now. The sun is starting to peek through more and more as we go along. On the other side of the border, we'll start you out in Ensenada. There are kelp patties that are holding Dorado, yellowtail. There's been bluefin and yellowfin tuna. It's hit and miss. So the boys that are running out of Ensenada sometimes get them and sometimes don't, but they can fall back on some really good inshore stuff that has been going on. And I'm talking about bonita, big bonita, lots of rockfish, calico bass along the Punta Banda area. There's even a little bit of sand bass off University Point and surrounding areas. And again, the fallback is going to be that rockfish. You're going to fill the sacks with some good eating rockfish. So Ensenada is still going along real well. Now, we're going to talk about the SoCal offshore scene in general, because you can catch bluefin tuna, yellowfin tuna, Dorado, skipjack, marlin, just about anywhere from the border down there in San Diego all the way up to at least Redondo. I mean, you're going to have to be on a day trip or a day and a half trip in many of those cases. But man, the opportunities are great with fish around Catalina and fish around San Clemente and fish down there around a spot we call the 43, about 35, 40 miles from San Diego. It has been spectacular. Let's talk about the fish. First of all, a lot of that bluefin tuna, not all of it, is in that 8 to 40 pound class. I'd say the vast majority, however, that 18 to 25 pound class. The yellowfin tuna are a better grade. You're looking at 25 to 50 pounds sometimes. Most of it 25 to 35 pounds in that size range. A gorgeous grade of YFT. I mean, sometimes you run all the way down to the ridge, several hundred miles down the Baja coast on a long range trip to catch that grade of yellowfin. Not all the time, but on that ridge area, that's pretty common size for the YFT. So think about how blessed we are to have it right here in our local waters. That is pretty spectacular. The Dorado that we're catching, like 5 pounds, 3 pounds to 15 pounds, some bigger than that, average 8 pounds, like about that size. So that gives you an idea of the size of fish that we're dealing with. Now, that does not count the bluefin tuna out on Tanner and Cortez, because out there it's 100 plus, 200 plus. There's some big fish. Sometimes they bite the kite or the balloons, and man, it has been spectacular when they turn on. Other times they want nothing to do with the kite or the balloon, and they get real finicky. That water temperature is starting to rebound. It's going to blow a little bit out there this weekend, and then it's going to go flat calm. And if you believe the long range forecast, it's going to be great right up past our November 3rd trip. They're forecasting hardly any wind at all for that weekend. That's a long ways out there, and those long range forecasts are wrong sometimes, but they've been pretty good here recently. We'll continue to watch it and see where it goes from here. But that nice, beautiful, calm weather, along with that warm water temperature, is just going to produce some great fishing. Let me give you some scores, because they're pretty impressive for the most part. Pegasus 3-day trip, 160 yellowfin tuna, 92 on the Dorado, 16 bluefin tuna for 15 anglers. What a great trip it was on the Pegasus. Aztec, nice hit for those guys, 17 guys, 31 yellowfin tuna, a couple of bluefin tuna to go along with that. Excuse me. Tomahawk, 79 yellowfin tuna, nice hit on the YFT. A Dorado, and they had 28 guys on a 2-day trip, so some outstanding fishing for them. Pacific Queen, always on it, always doing great. They end up with 139 on the yellowfin tuna, 11 bluefin tuna, 7 Dorado. What a great trip that one was. I'm telling you, they have been all over the fish. Now, in some cases, you're going to have to drop down to some lighter line. Most of the guys down fishing offshore don't want you down below 25, but sometimes you might want to think about dropping down to 20, depending on your level of expertise. And even given that, those fish have teeth and they can chew through that with the greatest of ease. But sometimes in those long plunker bites, you're in a drift for 8 hours and you only have 1 or 2 or 3 going at a time, you're going to want to drop down. So let's say 25, www.optionusa.com, put in FA at checkout, and you'll get a free gift from owner Greg Brown, a hug and a kiss if you're lucky. So dropping down is really important. Choosing a good hot bait, also important. Hooking the bait in different ways. You're going to have to observe and see what's working best. Probably the best that I have seen here recently is a belly hook bait, but a back hooked bait is also another great way to get a bite. It works really well. And then the nose hook bait also works well and is great if you plan on retrieving your bait slowly, where you will get many a bite. A back hook bait, a belly hook bait, is not going to work on the retrieve. You soak it, once you're done, once you haven't gotten a bite, you're done. But you're still in the game with a nose hook bait because it's been out there soaking, and when you retrieve it slowly, it swims back and looks natural, and that is the key to getting a bite on these fish. New low-am, 22 guys, 90 yellowfin, 140 on the Dorado, 15 bluefin. Now, the one-day boys, or I should say full-day boys out of San Diego, at least yesterday, had a little bit tougher time of it, just never got on the right school, but it's still not bad, considering they're leaving in the morning and coming back that very same afternoon. Scott Buchert, was decking on board the Mission Belle, and he provided us with some photos as well as some video. Not bad at all on the MB. 18 guys, 17 bluefin tuna, 3 yellowfin tuna, the San Diego 34 guys, 16 bluefin tuna, Sea-Watch 26 guys, 4 bluefin tuna. So as I say, it is hit and miss. Sometimes you get them and sometimes you don't. And typically what will happen when you see scores like that, the next day it's freaking wide open. It's hard to gauge it. It just seems like every day is different. One day you get them, one day you don't. Most of the time you're in the ball game and you're having some really good fishing. Up here out of Davies Locker, Newport Beach, the Blackfish limits of bluefin tuna, 25 to 40 pound fish. The El Dorado will checked in with us out of Long Beach sport fishing yesterday. They ended up with about 60 mixed yellowfin and bluefin, 34 YFT, 27 bluefin tuna. The Fury, Dana Wharf sport fishing, limits of bluefin tuna. So I don't know how it can get much better than that, being that we're knocking on the door of Halloween. Now, talking about that fish out there on Cortez and Tanner, we'll see what happens. It's going to blow a little bit out there. It's fishable for the bigger boys. They'll have no trouble at all, and even smaller boats shouldn't have. And I'm talking 65 foot, being smaller boats should be okay out there this weekend. Then we're going to flat calm scenario starting on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right on for the next week or so. At least the long range forecast suggests that that is going to be the case, and that should really help our situation a lot. I've mentioned that lighter string. You definitely want to have some 25, some 40. I would have some 50 or 60. And then if you're offshore and fishing Tanner Bank or something like that, you definitely have to have 100 pound to 130 pound spectra. I like the metered line so you know the depth of your lure if you happen to be fishing at night. So line that changes color every 100 feet is a really good idea. And if you're going to bring some jigs, I would bring 300 to 500 gram jigs. Right now, that seems to be getting you in the ballpark. I wouldn't leave my 100 to 150 gram Sakana, Daiwa Sakana lures at home. That worked really well at times in our plunker bites. Guys would go up to the bow and make a cast and hang a fish by doing just that. Other times it didn't work that well, but it's a good way, if those fish are finicky, to get a bite on the heavier string, and then you own those things. If you can throw that jig on 50 pound and hang one of those fish where everybody else is fishing 20 or 25 trying to get a bite on the bait, you are in the driver's seat with that heavier line. So there you have it. Really nice offshore fishing continuing. I don't see it slowing down. There's no Arctic-based storms that are going to cool this water down. And even after that last blow we had, we were out on the Independence, we experienced some of that. It was nasty on a couple of days. It blew 30 knots out there on Tanner and Cortez, and that fish came right back and started to bite. With the Horizon being out there here recently, and Ricky Perez, their captain, saying, man, there's a lot of fish still here. They're not going anywhere, and that is really a great sign. We've got squid all around in our local waters, up in the Santa Monica Bay, Channel Islands, San Clemente, Catalina, Huntington Beach. We've got squid out on the 43, and that is a food source, a magnet that holds that bluefin here, and it should hang out for the entire year once again. Getting a little ahead of myself, but it looks like that could be the case. All right, let's talk about islands. Nobody's really goofing off with the islands too much with these offshore opportunities going on. A little bit of yellow, calico bass, that kind of thing. Catalina, if you are a lobster hoop netter, has been spectacular this year, and it's remaining that way. Remember, around the Avalon area, that's where you're going to get all the pressure, so you want to either go west or east of there, and you're going to do just fine. 7 lobster per angler. Man, if those things are 2 pounds each, and you get 14 pounds, and you have to look at the price of lobster now, 50 bucks a pound, you're in there, man. You can get your lobster hoop net gear at Big Fish Bait and Tackle, 10% off when you mention Friedman Adventures, or if you want to do it online, promarahi.com. Put in Friedman 10 at checkout for a 10% discount. That will do you a lot of good. All right, locally we're seeing a lot of rockfish right now. Great rock fishing. Some of these guys still can do a combo rockfish and then go out and look for the tuna. So you want to check with the boat that you're jumping on. If there's straight rockfish, well, you can have some really good fishing. But There's also a little go-around going on down in San Diego right now on Yellowtail on the local scene. Doug Rubin came on the Danny Cadota show from the El Sueño last night to let me know about it. Doug, thank you so very, very much. They went 5 for 15 on the afternoon half-day boat yesterday. A fly line sardine working best of all. And they saw quite a bit of fish there locally around La Jolla. That is a very good signal and sign. And there's some bass down there also, and then the rockfish, as I mentioned. But that San Diego yellow bite, we'll see if it manifests here again today and on the weekend. That was a very good signal. We're taking a look elsewhere and up and down the coast, Dana Wharf and Oceanside, and everybody catching copious amounts of colorful and great eating rockfish. That has been the rule. Same thing there in Redondo, where they're fishing with live squid on the Redondo Special, catching nice rockfish for sure. Really, really good fishing. Marina del Rey sculpin, rockfish, that kind of thing going on there in that neck of the woods. Channel Islands, great rock fishing as usual up there. And we are starting to see a signal on that squid, and that just bodes well for the spring white sea bass bite in 24. That is already setting up and looking really, really good to me. All right, in the surf, Richard Cayo, our good friend, had some yellowfin croaker as well as some nice bar perch. Richard said he just needed some vitamin C, and he had to get out. Richard, always doing a great job. Good to see you there. Fantastic stuff going on. Richie Rich, good morning, Richie Rich, guy that contributes to our live shows all the time and is a great Friedman Adventures family member. His little brother said, I'm going to Redondo. I'm going to fish in King Harbor. I'm going to catch me a bunch of bonito. What could be more fun than that? So he fly lines a sardine, and he doesn't catch a bonita. He catches a 19.5-inch striper. Can you believe it? That's a very rare catch. Richard, great job on that catch there in Redondo. I fished there many, 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 many years, and I don't remember ever seeing that caught. I know it's happened a few times, but not very often. Thanks for sharing that, Richie. We really appreciate that, and that is a really spectacular catch, no question about it. Don't forget, if you want to do some surf fishing, Big Fish Bait and Tackle on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. They've got all your surf fishing baits, so you won't have to dig up sandworms like me. I come out here and it's become a hobby of mine. I'm not even fishing, and I'm looking for sandworms. That's how demented I've become about these things. But if you don't want to do that, and you don't want to break your back, go to Big Fish Bait and Tackle in Seal Beach. They've got all kinds of bait, ghost shrimp and worms and everything that you'll need to make your surf fishing adventure a good one. So remember, Big Fish Bait and Tackle. They also have all the gear you need: rods, reels, line, hooks, sinkers. Same thing on the big game stuff with bluefin and everything else. All right, those dates again, November the 3rd, we'll be on board the Horizon. Book today. We'll see you in San Diego a week from today. We're leaving at 7 p.m. and then back in on Sunday morning, Friday through Sunday morning. Perfect kind of trip. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful time on the water, and hopefully that weather forecast holds up. Bring that variety of tackle. I'll have more on exactly the kind of tackle you'll need as we get closer to the date. Things change so very, very much. So keep that in mind. December the 2nd, we're having our Christmas party. You want to attend, just send me a text. I'll send you all the details. 657-227-6459. And Eddie's Memorial, November the 11th, All Souls Cemetery in Long Beach, California, 4 to 8 p.m. I will see you there. All right, my friends, gorgeous day. I can actually see now. When I first came down here, it was really dark. I'm imagining you saw that transition in today's report. It's always great spending time with you, and I hope to see you really, really soon. Have a wonderful weekend, my friends.